All is written, most is destined. The variations of outcomes are slim. Planning ahead is important and planning ahead is crucial. What is up ahead has been planned for centuries. Soon the time arrives. Tragedies happen all the time, all over the world. Many tragedies are a result of mistakes made by mankind, malicious intentions carried out by mankind, and natural disasters. Conspiracy theorists are usually looked at as those who are fanatical and obsessed, but some of them have been able to make serious points and expose vital pieces of information through the years. But how do you explain a tragedy that was foretold to happen over a decade ago? Over multiple decades ago? Centuries ago? What would you say then? There are two pieces of material I would like to show you all today. This footage is from one of the most popular shows, The Simpsons and the Illuminati card game. I've already talked to you all about coincidences and their validity in one of my last videos, so we will not be discussing that in this video. Don't be a fool. What you've all just witnessed is divination being masked by the stupid comedy they use to try and hide malicious intent. Open your eyes, people, and wake up out of your sleep. Do you desire to ignore all the red flags that you see? I wouldn't recommend it. Now, let's talk about the Illuminati card game. This game has an extreme undercurrent of secrecy, divination, and in some eyes, demonic activity. This card game has two authors whose names were both Steve Jackson. Steve Jackson, who lived in the United States, started his own gaming company called Steve Jackson Games. In 1975, the Illuminatis trilogy is a series of 3 novels written by Robert Shea and Robert Anton Wilson, first published in the 1970s. The books are fictional accounts of a global conspiracy involving secret societies, government agencies, and extraterrestrial beings. The story follows a group of characters who are trying to uncover the truth about the Illuminati, a secret society that is believed to have control over world events. The novels are filled with conspiracy theories, surreal humor, and social commentary on a wide range of topics including politics, religion, sex, and drugs. The first book, The Eye in the Pyramid, introduces the main characters and setups as the conspiracy plot. The second book, The Golden Apple, delves deeper into this conspiracy and explores themes of individuality and personal freedom. The third book, Leviathan, brings the story to its conclusion, revealing the ultimate fate of the Illuminati and the world at large. This game was the inspiration for what we will now be discussing, the Illuminati card game. This card game, although founded by Steve, he was not this game's only artist. There were many other people who had a hand in the creation of this game. Also, what's interesting about this is that another developer who helped create this game was also a man named Steve Jackson. Unlike the other one, this man lived in the United Kingdom. A little over 300 cards you see in this game are official cards that were created by the game developers. However, a little over 100 of these cards were created by independent contractors who were also responsible for the artwork on the cards. The goal of this game is to take over the entire world. There are many cards in this game that are considered the Illuminati cards. These are the groups who are all fighting each other to have complete control over the entire world. Here are the names of those groups: the Bavarian Illuminati, the Discordian Society, the Gnomes of Zurich, the UFOs, the Servants of Cthulhu, the Bermuda Triangle, the Network, the Nord Foundation, the Society of Assassins, the Mafia, the World Government, Atlantis, and Shangri-La. Here's a brief overview of how to play the game. Each player chooses a secret society to play as and takes the corresponding cards. The players then draw a number of other cards to form their starting hands and place the remaining cards in a draw pile. On each turn, a player draws a card from the draw pile and then can either play one card or pass their turn. Cards can be used to attack other players, defend against attacks, or manipulate the game in other ways. Each secret society has a goal, which is usually to control a number of groups. Players must work to achieve their goals while also preventing their opponents from achieving theirs. The game is won when a player achieves their goal, which can be anything from controlling a certain number of groups to achieving a certain level of power or influence. However, other players can also win by preventing the winner from achieving their goal. The game has many different cards with different abilities and effects, which can make it complex and strategic. Players must balance their resources and carefully choose which cards to play to achieve their goals and outmaneuver their opponents. The game can take anywhere from 30 minutes to several hours to play, depending on the number of players and the complexity of the setup. In the Illuminati card game, there are 10 different alignments that groups can have. These alignments are based on the combination of political, economic, and social factors and determine how groups can interact with each other. The 10 alignments are communist, conservative, criminal, fanatic, liberal, libertarian, megacorporations, secret societies, straight, and weird. These alignments can affect how groups can interact with each other, as well as how they can be affected by certain cards in the game. Understanding the alignments between different groups is an important part of playing the Illuminati card game. The groups peaceful and violent are not official alignments in the Illuminati card game. The game's alignments are based on political and economic and social factors. In the Illuminati card game, there are 6 types of cards, each with its own color and purpose. Group cards are green and represent the various organizations, corporations, and institutions that players can control or influence. Plot cards are purple and represent the various schemes, conspiracies, and events that players can use to gain an advantage over their opponent. Special cards are yellow and represent various characters, actions, or other game elements that can affect the game in unique ways. Red cards are event cards that represent unexpected events that can have a major impact on the game. Blue cards are resource cards that represent various resources that players can use to gain an advantage over their opponents. Black cards are special event cards that represent major, world-changing events that can have a significant impact on the game. Overall, the different types of cards in the Illuminati card game offer a wide range of strategic options for players to explore as they try to gain control of various groups and resources and manipulate the game to their advantage. Now let's take a look at these cards. Some of you may already be familiar with this card game, while others may not even care, but you should. Some of the developers of this game knew about future events years and even decades before they happened, and some of these events have yet to occur. Take a look. Some of these cards are simply playing into the already existing hysteria in the United States and the rest of the world. Some of these cards may seem childish or obvious to you. Some of these cards may have surprised you, and some of these cards you may not even have fully understood. What you need to remember is that this game was created in the 1970s. So for the events that occurred after or have yet to occur, these aren't rooted in mere accurate guesses of the future. This is by way of clairvoyance, divination, and even scrying with demonic spirits. Now let's take a look at The Simpsons.
I'd like to call to order this secret conclave of America's media empires. We're here to come up with the next phony baloney crisis to put Americans back where they belong, in dark rooms glued to their televisions, too terrified to skip the commercials.
Well, I think...
NBC, you are here to listen and not speak. I think we should go with a good old-fashioned public health scare.
A new disease. No one's immune. It's like the summer of the shark, except instead of a shark, it's an epidemic. And instead of summer, it's all the time.
That is smoking.
Now, I hate to be the guy who derails what everybody else loves.
He loves being that guy.
But, Janice, we do have standards. This can't be a made-up disease. The only moral thing to do is release a deadly virus into the general public.
We do have something we've been holding on to, but it hasn't been tested. Get over here, NBC.
Well, we certainly believe in testing, but
Wow. Oh, yeah.
So,
Is it all still just a coincidence to you? Do you still believe and even certain that things like this cannot be orchestrated, cannot be manipulated, cannot be foreseen and foretold? If you truly feel that way, then take a look at this.
Tech, specifically FaceTime, or video conferencing, which was predicted back in '95. Lisa visits a fortune teller at a fair and we're transported 15 years into the future. She's talking to Marge using her phone's video chat feature called a picture phone, which was ahead of its time but finally became a reality in 2010. And now we all use it, even our grandparents.
Oh, don't worry, honey. I guarantee your father will behave.
Mom, it's a picture phone.
Oh, this? Oh, no, I just got a touch of the rheumatiz.
Oh. Mom, picture phone.
From the very same episode, the smartwatch. Lisa's fiancé makes a phone call using his extremely fashionable watch. Kinda reminds me of Dick Tracy and how bad I wanted one of those things. But it wasn't until 19 years later that modern voice recognition-enabled smartwatches would become widely available to the masses thanks to Google, Samsung, and Apple. Moving on, the GoPro, or a camera in comparable size that was featured on a 1994 episode. Homer took part in a hidden camera investigation into the expired meat on sale at the Quickie Mart. Bite Back host Ken Brockman and the Channel 6 investigative news team give Homer a giant novelty hat to wear that contains a tiny camera in it. And we know only a GoPro would fit in there. 20 years later, we were introduced to the GoPro, which is the go-to hands-free way to record your travels while swimming, running, biking, or spying on people. That's some of the good tech, but how about some shitty tech, as in faulty voting machines? Inspired by the 2008 presidential election, this episode finds Homer trying to place a vote for Barack Obama, and it doesn't go so well.
Hey, I only meant one of those votes for McCain! This machine is rigged! Must tell President McCain! This doesn't happen in America! Maybe Ohio, but not in America!
Now in 2012, this actually happened, and there's video on YouTube to prove it. Racking over 10 million views, this Pennsylvania machine wasn't calibrated correctly and changes a vote for Obama to Mitt Romney. Speaking of presidential elections, The Simpsons predicted Trump, as in President Trump. Yep, it's another flash forward to the future as Bart is an adult and Lisa is the President of the United States. Unfortunately, she is tasked with the gargantuan task of cleaning up after the disastrous job left by Donald Trump.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
The country is broke? How can that be?
The National Security Agency made headlines in 2013, but the NSA played a pivotal role in the Simpsons movie back in '07. Quick refresher, Homer accidentally pollutes Springfield's water supply, the family goes on the run, and the EPA declares the family as fugitives. The NSA finally tracks down Marge and the kids by listening in on their conversations. And 6 years later, Edward Snowden revealed widespread mass surveillance of its citizens by the American government through phone and internet records. The show also correctly predicted the 2016 Nobel Prize winner 6 years before it happened. That's right, never underestimate Milhouse. He's a genius. Seriously. In 2010, he correctly predicted Bengt Holmstrom would win it, and he did in 2016, the Nobel Prize in Economics. Milhouse was part of a Nobel Prize betting pool, nerd alert, with Lisa, Martin, and Database. It doesn't take a Nobel Prize winner to predict this one. FIFA is corrupt. Back in 2014, Homer was asked by FIFA to help repair the organization's image and to actually referee a World Cup in Brazil. Yep, that happened. The episode forecasted the FIFA arrests, though not by naming anyone specifically. Real-life FIFA officials were indicted a year later amidst corruption claims, bribery, and money laundering. Also, bonus points because The Simpsons also predicted that Germany would beat Brazil in that World Cup final. They just missed on the score. It turns out the Simpsons writers are also mathematicians, apparently, because Homer Simpson discovered the Higgs boson before anyone else. Homer was a good 14 years early on the God particle, which helps explain how everything in the universe has mass. In a 1998 episode, Homer becomes an inventor and is shown at a chalkboard with an extremely complicated equation. Unbelievably, that equation actually predicts the mass of the Higgs boson, or something extremely close to it. Believe me, it's incredible, and was co-signed by Dr. Simon Singh, author of The Simpsons and Their Mathematical Secrets. This one is extremely bleak, but The Simpsons may have hinted at the Ebola outbreak way back in 1997. The episode features Marge trying to get a sick and depressed Bart out of bed and offering to read him this book, Curious George and the Ebola Virus.
Would you like to color something?
I did.
Could that drawing be a sign of life after an outbreak of a deadly virus? I know it's a stretch, but this episode was widely shared by YouTube user TheControversy7, who theorized that the show predicted the 2014 American Ebola outbreak. Elsewhere in the world, the show also predicted Greece's financial crisis a few years early. Back in 2012, Homer appeared as a guest commentator on the program Headbutt. Watch closely as the ticker runs across the bottom of the screen. Europe puts Greece on eBay. Of course, just 3 years later, Greece plunged into economic crisis, becoming the first developed country to default on an International Monetary Fund loan repayment. And yet another scary one, Siegfried and Roy's tiger attack. In the episode, Mr. Burns is opening up a casino with a wannabe Siegfried and Roy, two German magicians, Gunther and Ernst, and their long-running show that tragically ends in a tiger attack. 10 years later, Roy Horn was mauled in Las Vegas during a performance that left him partially paralyzed and ended the show's 13-year production. Speaking of performers, the show predicted Lady Gaga and her Super Bowl halftime show. Kudos for guessing Gaga would headline a big-time performance, but it's not all that impressive. Hell, she's one of the world's biggest stars. What's really impressive, however, is how spot-on the performance was. Her Springfield performance had her suspended in air, and the same came true 5 years later when she descended from the roof at halftime during Super Bowl 51. Only Sting did it better. This one was recently confirmed. Disney owns Fox. Back in 1998, director Ron Howard pitches Homer's screenplay to producer Brian Grazer at 20th Century Fox. Now, pay close attention to the sign at the beginning of this scene. The Fox studio lot is, quote, a division of the Walt Disney Company. Almost 20 years and more than $50 billion later, the Disney-Fox deal is a reality as Mickey Mouse and company continue their war with Netflix for your entertainment attention. And let's end it here because this one is extremely nuts and in no way feasible. The Simpsons predicted 9/11 in 1997. YouTube user Truth Will Find Ya Brew points out that the bus advertisement that promises New York tickets for $9 perfectly lines up next to the Twin Towers to read, New York 9/11.
We do not live inside the movie Back to the Future, and mankind has no known time machines on Earth because they do not exist. Mankind isn't as slick as they think they are, though. You see, people, let me give you all some insight. Mankind loves to be entertained, especially Americans, because we have the worst and the best entertainment. In Hollywood, what isn't widely known to you all is that special groups are consulted with to be able to bring a new twist to shows and to keep audiences engaged and even cause audience engagement to grow. This happens by consulting with witches and warlocks. I am not able to accurately determine how many of those individuals actually acknowledge as Satan as their supreme being in the Dark Kingdom and who they give service to. I'm only aware of few. The others may deny his existence but are still practitioners of witchcraft. Regardless of whoever these men and women claim to serve or not serve, they are able to bring Hollywood writers insight on the demonic and how they really look, future events that will soon come to pass, and even secrets from the past that haven't been yet uncovered by official scientific and research organizations. You see, Hollywood won't tell you all this because they simply don't want to. Hollywood also promotes a wide variety of agendas, predictive programming, and subliminal messages. Some of you have already known this. If you didn't know, now you know. Open your eyes, people. Mankind doesn't exist in the world alone, for there was a world already present before we got here. It's just that you're not able to see the spirit realm with the human eyes. The barrier between our world and theirs is for sanity. Madness would infest the human mind if it would be any different. I told you all what my goal was for this channel. If it isn't obvious by now, then maybe this channel isn't for you, which is fine. For those who enjoy the content, just know that I will continue to move forward no matter what. YouTube tried to censor me, but they can't stop me. No one can.
Lot of haters, tell me where they